Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to look how to create this beautiful scientific poster using LaTeX and the Better Poster template. As you can see, this scientific poster that I'm showing here on the screen doesn't follow the normal template of a classic scientific poster. I actually got the inspiration of creating this poster using this format using the Better Poster template suggested by Mike Morrison. I would really encourage you to have a look at his video here on YouTube after you are done with this video to better understand his rationale and motivation to suggest this new template. I really think that his idea of suggesting this template I think is very nice and is very effective to show your key results to an audience during a scientific conference. Therefore, I decided to put together this video in which I show you step by step how you can create a poster like this one that you can see on the screen using LaTeX. In order to do so and in order to allow all of you, irrespectively of your background knowledge on LaTeX, to follow along with this video, I'm going to use Overleaf. However, as usual in my video, keep in mind that you can always compile your document locally with a LaTeX compiler. And if you want to find out more how you can compile a LaTeX document locally on your computer, check out either my VS Code LaTeX workshop video or my Texify video. I'm going to put a link down in the video description and a card should appear here in the top right corner of this video. As I previously mentioned, I'm going to use an Overleaf template and I'm going to use Overleaf to create the poster. I'm going to use this first template put together by Raphael Bailo, but on Overleaf you can also find this other template, which is for a vertical poster. I'm going to follow this one here for a poster which has an horizontal layout. However, if the conference requires that you submit a poster with a vertical layout, I would highly encourage you to just use this template here. I'm going to put a link to these two posters and these two templates down in the video description. Raphael Bailo, who put together the first template for the horizontal poster, has also a very nice GitHub repository in which he explains how to customize and how to edit his LaTeX template. Before we get started, I just would like to ask you to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you find this type of video interesting and useful. It would really help a lot. And please write a comment if there is something that is not clear or if simply you like the video. Down in the comment section below, please also let me know if you would like me to create another video in which I describe and explain how to create a more classical type of poster using LaTeX. Something like this one here that you can see on my screen, which have much more text, more images, however, in my opinion, are a little bit more difficult to read. That is why I decided to show you how to create a poster with a Better Poster template. In order to get started with a Better Poster template, it's super simple. You just need an Overleaf account, and even if you don't have an Overleaf account, you can always go in this page here. You can just click here on View Source, and then copy all these source file here inside a text file locally on your computer. Then you are ready to start, and then you can compile your PDF locally. However, I think it's a little bit easier to just get started with Overleaf because you don't even need a LaTeX compiler installed on your computer. So in order to get started with an Overleaf, of course you need an account and you have to click here, Open as Template. This, as you can see, has generated a PDF output that you can download here by clicking Download PDF once you are ready. We have the source code here in the center left column, and we have the source file here on the left side of the screen. I have increased a bit the font size so it's easier for you to read, and I'm going to hide this file tree for the moment, and then I'm going to show you later on when we have to make some changes, which file do we have to upload inside over there and which figures. Here on the right you can see the poster, and you can zoom in into the poster by going to the mouse to the top left side here, and you can click on zoom in. This will zoom in and zoom out into the poster. So let me collapse a bit here the code part and let me zoom in a bit more into the poster. As I showed you before, my poster has only two columns. I think it's a little bit more effective because we can give a little bit more space to the text here on the left So we can add a little bit more of text to describe what we have done in our paper, but in my case, I didn't want to have these figures here on the right because I put a graphical abstract here in the center. Let me show again my poster. So as you can see, I got rid of that right column. I have increased a bit the width of the left column, and those images that they were supposed to be here on the right column, I've added them here in the center column. So how can we do that? Well, we can go here and we can start having a look at all the comments and all the text that Rafael Bailo has generated for us, and we can just change it a little bit. So the first thing that we can see here is the document class. Right now we are using an A0 paper size. Of course, we can change that, but I'm going to keep that as an A0 because often scientific posters are in A0 size paper. Of course, you can change that, and you can read more on his GitHub repository on how to change the paper size. So here the first thing that I want to do, and you don't have to follow all the steps that I'm doing, but I think, as I just previously mentioned, that I think it's better to have just 2 columns. We can set the right by bar width to 0. So we just want to hide completely this right column. How can we do that? We just have to change this to 0, because we are setting the length of the right bar width to 0. At the same time, we want to gain a bit of space on the left side. So instead of having 0.2, we're going to have 0.3. So roughly 1/3 of the document is going to be used for the first column, and 2/3 of the document is going to be for the center column, which has the main key findings. So this already looks more like the poster that I've shown you before. One thing that I haven't changed in my poster, and I kept it similar to the original template, is the column margin. I didn't want to change the column margin because I think they look nice as they are. You can change the column margin if you change line 20 to line 27. Again, if you want to change something, you just have to change here, and then you can change the margin. Let me actually show you how we can change the column margin vertical. Instead of being 0.05 of the paper height, let's put a very high number, let's put 0.2. And as you can see, now we have changed the vertical margin, so we have a very big white space here. We don't want to have that, but I just wanted to show you that if you really wanted, you can change that by uncommenting this line here. Then another thing that we can change here is the font size. And again, I think the font size looks nice, and I'm not going to change it. If you want to change the color, you can do so in between line 45 and 56. If you want to have a black background color, we can do so by uncommenting this line 47. Now, as you can see, background of the left column and of the right column are black. Of course, we need to also change the font color, otherwise we are not going to be able to read our text. And we can easily do that by uncommenting line 49. Of course, we are not limited to have a gray color, but we can also specify white. And now, as you can see, the text is white. I just want to stick with the original color, so I'm going to revert these changes back by commenting these 2 lines and then pressing Ctrl-Enter, or you can click on here, recompile here at the top. In the Better poster template, they have 4 main colors for different type of poster. I use the blue color as a background, but I suggest to use a different color if your study is an empirical study, a theory study, method, or intervention. And if you want to change that, you can just uncomment this line and then recompile the document, and this is going to change the background color. So they suggest you to have a yellow background for an intervention study. I think the blue color looks nice, so I'm not really interested in changing that. So I can recompile the document, and now here, from line 58 to the last line, which is 148, we have all the body of our poster, okay? So as you can see, from line 60, we start defining the main column of the poster. The main column is the central column here, is the key findings of your research. So inside here, we have main column command has 2 curly braces. The first part here will contain the text that you can see here at the top. The second part of the curly braces will contain the QR code that will link to your paper. I think this is a great idea because we want to show the key findings of our research, so one key sentence which describes the main finding of our paper. I will also add an image which I got from the graphical abstract, and then it is very nice to add a QR code so other researchers at the conference can scan our QR code and can download our PDF or access additional material, and I will show you that. So the first thing that I want to do is to cancel this text that is here in line 65. I'm going to recompile because my main findings, of course, are going to be different. And in my case, I'm going to copy and place the main findings of my research. However, in order to make it even more informative for the reader, I think it's very nice to add also an image. I, therefore, decided to use the same image that I've uploaded as the graphical abstract of my paper. I think that is very effective because when you design the graphical abstract for your paper, you need to put some thoughts and you really need to think about how to convey the message of your paper. So I think the graphical abstract is perfect here. So we can put it here to show the key results to our audience. So let me show you how we can upload an image and how we can add it to our poster. To upload an image is pretty simple. You just have to go into the image folder here, you have to expand it, and then you click on upload, and then you have to go into your computer. I have it in downloads here, and I have graphical abstract, and I open this file here. This is going to load the file, and now we can see that the graphical abstract is here. So let's go back to the main.txt file, which is our main source folder, and let's import this image. To import the graphical abstract image is very simple because we just have to use one command. This command is include graphics. We have to specify the width as an option here, which has to be within a square braces. So we specify width equal to / text width, so it has to be the text width of this column. And here we have to specify where the image is located. So in my case, I've uploaded here in image folder, EMG, and then graphical abstract. No need to specify the extension of the image. LaTeX will figure that out for us. So let me recompile the document. And as you can see now, I've added my image here. So the image is the right width, but one thing that I don't like is that the image is too close to the text. We can easily fix that by adding a vspace. In this case, we can add a vspace, a vertical space, with this command, vspace, and then we can specify how many centimeters the space has to be. So in this case, I'm going to set the vertical space equal to 5 centimeters. Of course, keep in mind that this may have to change if you decide a different paper size, okay? But I think in my case, the vertical space looks okay. Another thing that we want to change, at least in my opinion, is this QR code. This QR code looks too big and is too prominent. Of course, it's important because we want people to be able to access our paper, but at the same time, we don't want it to be so prominent. We want, at least in my opinion, I want it to be a little bit smaller. So let's see how we can fix that. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out with Ctrl// all this code that we have here in line 75. So this is going to remove completely the QR code from our poster. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an include graphic. So I'm going to use the same command as we used before, which is include graphic, to include a PNG which has the 2 QR code for my paper. In my case, I have 2 QR codes because one QR code will link the user to my paper, so where they can access my paper for free and they can read it and download it. The other QR code links them to a tool, an online tool that I've developed specifically for this paper. So what do we need to do is we need to do the same step as before. I'm going to upload the 2 QR code as we did before. So we go in images here, upload, and then I'm going to select the 2 QR codes. One is called frame, which is probably not the best name for a QR code. And the second QR code is called comfort tool. Then it doesn't matter where you put it, but in this case I went back here inside main column, inside here the first curly braces, here I have added the 2 QR code, and we can delete all these placeholder comments and this placeholder text. So here, we are not going to have anything in the second curly braces, but here in line 71, we can add our source code, which is going to allow us to import the two QR code. So let me show you, let me copy the source code, and then I'm going to discuss it and explain what I've done. Here I have a begin center environment. The begin center environment allows us to have the text which is centered. Then we use the include graphics and we specify that the width of the QR code has to be 10% of the text width, and we are importing the QR code. Then we are using this unusual syntax, but don't worry too much. I'm using these curly braces, and inside I'm going to specify font size section. I'm going to do this because I want to have that this text here, inside these curly braces, is a little bit smaller, because I want this text to be smaller than this key or this hero sentence here at the top. So I'm going to change the font size with this font size section. Then, because our text is centered, so the images and everything is centered, we want to add an hfill. Hfill will add some space or enough space so the whole text is going to be justified. Then we want that the second part of the text is right aligned. So this hfill really helps us, because we are going to have some other text here. And in this case, I also show you how to make the text boldface. So if you want to have this scan that is boldface, you can do that using this command here. And then finally, we have include graphic with a width, again, of 10% of the text width, and we are importing the second QR code. And then we are ending the center environment. One last thing that I like to do is to add some gap here between this graphical abstract and the QR codes, because as they look right now, I don't think they look great. They are too close to the image, and there is too much empty space here at the bottom. So as we did before, I can use this command here, vspace, and then in this case I've already tested that 20 centimeter works fine in my case. Of course, you can increase this space if you want to, based on your liking, if you want to have the QR code a little bit more at the bottom of the page, or at the same time you can reduce this white space, and for instance you could make the QR code a little bit bigger. But I've already tested them and they are working well. So I think this is something that I like. Now that we have completed here this right column, which is our key findings of our study, we can start working on the left column. And as I showed you before, we are not going to have a right column in our case. So let's start working on the left column, which is going to be pretty simple. I just have to specify the title and the authors of this paper. In my case, since I have a lot of authors, I'm not going to use these two commands, author and author, because I have like 5 authors of this paper. So I've decided to put them all together inside one author tag here. So I'm going to have my title and author. And I've decided only to print the surname and the initial of the name. So let me recompile the document again. And I've decided not to write the institution. If you want to, as it was shown in the template, in the original template, you can also add the institution. So let me show you here. You can also add the institution. I've decided not to do that because otherwise it would have taken too much space, and I don't think it's so important at the moment. The reader can always find out the institution of the authors by scanning the QR code. And I'm going to add at the end here the logo of my research center. So I think that, in my opinion, at least is sufficient. Then we have to write the introduction here. So here I didn't use an itemized list, a bullet list. I've actually used 2 sentences, which are the key sentence from my paper. Okay? So electric fans are a cost-effective and energy-efficient way to keep people cool. However, many national and international health guidelines strongly encourage people not to use them when the air temperature exceeds the skin temperature. So I decided to use these 2 sentences to summarize the introduction of my paper. As a starting point, you can also use the highlights that you have to submit with a paper. If you publish a paper in Elsevier, they ask you to write 5 highlights, which are 5 sentences, and each sentence has to be shorter than 85 characters. You can use those here because they are a very good summary of your paper. Some of these sentences are going to be related to the introduction, some about the methodology, and some perhaps about the results or the conclusion. But I think this is a good starting point. So that's where I got these sentences. Then I've changed this section here from a diagram, I changed it to the methodology, because I want to explain to the reader what exactly we have done. So I think it's always nice to have introduction and then to have a methodology. So I wanted to explain to the reader how we understood when fan are beneficial to cool people. So I explained that we use a human energy balance model to test when fan can be used and are beneficial to cool people. And then I think the last session that is needed is the conclusion. So here we want to summarize the key conclusion of our paper, which in our case is that fan can be used even when the air temperature exceeds or surpasses the skin temperature. So these could have been the results, and then you could have had the last session about the conclusion. In my case, however, I also wanted to describe this open source tool that we have developed and we have published online, because I think it is really relevant and readers might be interested in that. So I decided to skip the discussion part and the results and just go and have a section about the conclusion, because at the end here, I wanted to have a small section about the open source tool that we have developed. In your case, you might want to have here a section which is results and the last section which is conclusion. Of course, this can change and is based on what is your paper about. Then let's recompile the document with Ctrl-Enter, so we have almost done. The final thing that I need to change, because I don't work for the Imperial College of London, is the logo of my research institute. So again, we can go back here, we can go in Images, Upload, and then we have to select the logo of my research institute. So I can upload that, and here instead of image.logo, I can say Simberbest, which is the name of my research institute. So I then I can remove the extension of the image, and then we are done. So as I previously mentioned, I don't like to have a right column, so here I can remove actually everything in this part here because it's not needed. So I can recompile the document, and this is my final poster that I've prepared and is ready to be published in a conference. I didn't publish, actually, I just want to make it clear that I didn't publish this poster into a conference specifically, but I think it is almost ready to be submitted to a conference. If you want to submit your poster to a conference, as I previously mentioned, you just have to click here, download PDF. This is going to download the PDF wherever you want, and then you can just upload it on the conference website. I really hope you find this video informative, and I really hope I was clear. Please let me know if you want to find out more on how to create a more conventional poster using LaTeX. Let me know if you have any comments or questions down in the comment section below. Just please write something if you have any question, or if you like this video, just like a comment telling me that you like the video. It really means a lot to me, so I understand if you like the video or if you have any questions. If you also like this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. It really helps because then YouTube can show this video to more and more people. Also, if you want to support this channel, you can do so by buying me a coffee, supporting me on Patreon, or joining here my channel on YouTube. If you want to find out more how to support my channel by buying me a coffee or on Patreon, please find the link down in the video description. Thank you very much for listening, and see you in the next video.